I am very, I'm very in. What's the right word for this? I don't know what the right word for this because it's. I'm not sure where this is going. I'm gonna keep my judgment to myself for now because it feels like they're still trying to build towards something, and we're probably going to be waiting for like another 4 months before we get a continuation of what the hell is going on. Um, yeah. So let's review what is going on with chapter 382 of Berserk.
On guys, Berserk chapter 382 is finally out, so let's talk about it.
Yep.
Now, let me clarify something first and foremost.
Yeah.
The English version is not currently out as of the time of making this video.
Well, I mean, if you go to Manga Dex, it is out. It just came. Oh, well, this video came out when this video came out like 2 days ago. Okay, so yeah, this definitely is old news. The English release is out on Manga Dex. You could check it out for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, this chapter is very. It leaves a lot to be desired. That's what I'll go with that. Let's go ahead.
It's just the Spanish version. So what I did is I just used Google Translate. It's not the best thing in the world. I realize it's you going up.
Google Translate is very bad translation. You're better off learning the language itself.
Off of two translations, Japanese to Spanish to English, so
yeah.
Not everything is going to be 100% accurate. That being said, this chapter is very low on the dialogue.
Yeah.
And not a lot actually happens in this chapter as well.
That's what I was saying. It was very show and not tell kind of thing, and we'll get to it later in the video. I'm sure he'll discuss it, but like there's certain parts that I was like, okay, is this happening or something else happening? It leaves this chapter left a lot to be desired. The last chapter I was like, okay, so it's building up towards something, but then we get this chapter where it's like, okay, what just happened, and is what is happening what I think it's happening, or all right, let's just go on because you'll have to see what's going on here.
So I feel like it's not that much of a detriment, but
yeah.
With that said, guys, let's actually get into the meat of the chapter itself.
Yeah.
So the first thing we have here is Guts, walking along the path with the various monks, and it's the place where Guts is heading, along with the monk is. And remember in the previous chapter where I was making a comment about how Guts' body looked a little more coquettic?
Yeah. His body seemed a little more malnourished. It looked like he's been in the prison for a while. The other thing is, like, I had this assumption that Daiba and the monks were going to take advantage of Guts's Beast of Darkness in some way, somehow, using their Kushin magic. But that wasn't even alluded to. It was very weird. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there wasn't a lot explained in this chapter, so it kind of gives us a sense of I don't know what the right word for it is. It gives us a sense of like what the fuck's going on. It's neither good or bad. We have no idea where they're leading with this. This could go many different directions at this point, but you'll see.
A little more scrawny, not as muscular as it did in the past.
Yeah.
It looks more muscular in this panel right here, so it makes me wonder, did they sort of make a mistake in the last panel, or it just seems like an inconsistency almost.
It's a little bit of an inconsistency, but I'm not entirely pressed about it.
Almost like maybe two different people drew the panels. Maybe you had one guy drawing the previous panel, and now you got a different guy, and you got a little bit of inconsistency in terms of his body frame.
I'm not entirely pressed about this part. It's one minor inconsistency. There's been a few minor inconsistencies with Berserk. It's nothing to worry about, honestly. I would just brush past this part, honestly.
Nothing earth-shattering. So we see the various monks and sorcerers. They're doing their little chant, the little mantra, and Isidro and Azan are following Guts. Yeah. And, of course, Guts still looks to be out of it at this point. He's not quite himself.
I find it weird that Isidro and Azan have been allowed to just tag along this entire time. I figured the Kushins would have, kept Guts all to themselves, but I guess whatever they're doing isn't as much of a secret as they want it to be.
It basically...
I don't even know if it was established as a secret, but Guts is just willingly going... Guts is willingly doing this because he's incredibly depressed. We have no idea what this place could mean for him. This could be him just being like, I don't give a fuck, I'll die here, and whatever they do to me, I'll accept it at this point.
Continues on for the next page, and then it continues on for one more page, which is kind of weird because it's like, this chapter feels very light.
It is.
It feels like there's not a lot of substance in this chapter. Basically, they go on a walk, and then they arrive at the place that they want to arrive at, but they don't really explain anything about it. So it's like...
Again, it leaves a lot to be desired. There's so much told within these pages, yet there's so little that is explained. We have no idea what this place is, what the monks are doing, and what is Daiba planning. And it seems like the prince, what is his name? Fucking the Kushin prince of the Bakiraka. I forget his name. Yeah, he seems to know what's going on, but even when we were in his head listening to him, he doesn't really explain it either. So
did this really need to be a chapter? I feel like this could have been covered in half the amount of pages, or even a third of the amount of pages. There's 3 pages of Guts just walking with the sorcerers, and it's okay, yeah, we get it. You don't need to belabor the point at this point. Just kind of get on with it. Mira, even though it took him a long time to produce chapters, he was always jam-packing those chapters with interesting fights, conversations, world lore, philosophy, all sorts of different stuff. He was always building off of what came before it. But this...
That's true, but I don't really see this as a point of contention with the manga at this point. I know a lot of people have their opinions about Studio Gaga continuing the series and trying to make it so the story continues on in Miura's memory. But me personally, I don't see these things as a very contentious, controversial thing. If anything, it feels like they're doing their own creative liberty on it, which still feels like it's in line with how Berserk works. I don't really sense that it's any different from how Berserk is. It does feel like there's a lot not being told here, but at the same time, things were like that with Berserk too. I think with this chapter, it's hard to get a read on things because it's just we've only gotten 2 chapters this month, and we're gonna be getting another 4 months until we get another 2 chapters. So this feels like kind of similar to how Tatsuki Fujimoto has been doing Chainsaw Man recently, where he is doing these very quick chapters that move the plot just a little bit, but enough to where you can tell that there's something building up. Now, yeah.
Chapter kind of feels... It just feels very light in the tank. Not a lot is going on. I'm not saying it's bad in any regard. It's just... Maybe they could have condensed it a little bit, and added a little more substance to it.
To be honest, I was honestly thinking that we were going to see Shrike, or Shirke, however you want to say her name, I thought we were gonna be able to get her perspective and see how far she's gotten through Falconia. But we didn't get that. We just got mostly Guts walking with the monks and going into this tomb that that wasn't really explained very well. It was said by Daiba to be like some kind of like ancient tomb of some sort, which it looks like when we see it, it looks like it has some magical properties to it. So my theory is that Daiba is trying to harness the beast of darkness that's inside Guts. And I get a feeling that Daiba might have put Guts' weapons and armor in there, like the what is it? The Berserker armor. So who knows? We have no idea where this is going, because the creator of the armor is no longer around. He's not dead, but he's in a different place with the other mystical creatures that faded away from the island. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Now, the Tapasa tell Salat that they hear that only the high monks are allowed to enter the forbidden place. So if they're going to stop them from doing anything, it's got to be right now. And we see Salat and the Tapasa off in the distance. They're kind of watching the proceedings as it goes on. So they make their move. They're going in for the big haymaker here. And then as they do so, as they make their presence known, Isidro and Azan are quite surprised to see them. Right. Daiba then says, how absurd, going in without knowing where you're going. It's the end of times. So, it seems like they're definitely taking a biblical route here. It seems like they're going sort of, hey, it's Revelations, it's going to be the end of times, the world's going to come to a close, Ragnarok in a sense, and everything's sort of coming to a head. Griffith is destroying, the mansion of the spirit tree. He destroyed Elfhelm. Yeah. He's taken down all the big monsters, and he's got his eyes on the east. So it seems like everything's sort of coming to a head here.
There's a lot going on within the recent chapters of Berserk when we're in the Kushan Empire. There's not a lot that's being explained, which, again, it's not completely out of the blue. Berserk is like this sometimes, and especially with like Skull Knight, he'll say some cryptic shit and it'll mean something later down the line. But so far, these recent chapters are just, it feels like something's being built up to. I'm just not sure where they're taking it. And I guess that's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing too. Because this story is fucking large and very well set up. And a lot of people already think that the ending to Berserk is the last page or the last chapter that Miura ever drew and wrote, which I can understand, but I do have to give credit to the Studio Gaga, the students that learned from Miura, and I have to give it credit to Koji Mori that they have been able to keep Berserk alive and going even after his death. I feel like it's a mixture of things. There's a mixture of different things, like we're worried that they might mess it up. There's also the way it's things aren't being explained as much, which is a weird time, but I feel like in about 4 months we'll get something else that will help us better understand what's going on with Guts and Daiba.
And Daiba realizes that, and it's not any time to sort of just kind of be trivial about things. Like, they need to move, they need action. So, how much time they have left is quite a question at the moment. I mean, Griffith's army could probably be there within a couple days. So
exactly.
Oh boy.
That incident with the apostle, the assassin, Akushan apostle, it was a bit random, and it seemed like the incident was blamed on Guts, but at the same time, I don't think it was Guts. Maybe they used Guts to locate or use him as a portal. I'm not totally sure, but who knows? Who knows?
Again, we go back to walking again. We got a very pained look on Guts' face. We see an interesting structure in the distance.
Yeah.
Then, this is one of the more interesting panels of the chapter. Something that really caught my eye.
I saw this. I was like, wait, this reminds me of seeing the dead bodies at the bottom of that tower where Guts was trying to get Griffith out. But they don't have the brand of sacrifice on them from what it looks like. It might might have something to do with Kushan magic or something very ancient related to Kushans. Who knows? Again, this is another thing that wasn't really explained, shown. It's a lot of show and tell with this chapter.
Isidro sees a bunch of dead bodies against the wall. Now, were these sacrifices?
Show, not tell.
Used in some sort of dark magic ritual to make someone or something stronger? Are they being used for Guts' dark magic ritual?
I don't know.
Is he going to be sacrificed? Maybe.
I do not think that's going to be I don't think that's what's happening here. My running theory is they're going to, because here's the thing: Daiba has seen firsthand what Guts is like when the Beast of Darkness is taken control. I'm pretty sure Daiba wants to take control of Guts's inner demon. And that's what I think this little tomb that Guts is going to be locked up inside is gonna, like... It's sort of like Kushan magic trying to tap into the dark energy of a single man or something like that.
They were trying to
they might even sacrifice their own for this, so who knows?
Transcend their humanity. Maybe they were trying to turn them into monsters of some kind.
Yeah.
And with Guts having such a strong willpower, maybe they're like, hey, maybe we use him instead and see what happens. Again, this is all speculation on my part, but it's very interesting nonetheless. They then come up to a structure with like a dead...
This is the structure we were talking about. Guts is going to be, for the foreseeable future, be stuck in this tree tomb-like thing that, again, wasn't properly explained. We do have like some very interesting structures here. What is it? This reminds me of very ancient, I would say, Aztec-like columns or something like that. Maybe not Aztec, but another ancient civilization, maybe even Mayan. This is some very interesting stuff.
Wilted tree on it, and Daiba says that it's a sacred, forgotten ancestral tomb.
Right.
What's referred to as a stupa, a Buddhist monument, or like a dome structure.
Oh, so, yeah. Or Buddhist. That definitely looks more Buddhist, actually, now that I think about it.
Imagine, like, it's sort of a place of, like, worship or meditation. It's probably where they do their dark sorcery, so
maybe
we'll probably find out more about that in the next chapter. Now, Salant's Tapasa...
Again, that will be in 4 months.
...to go up to the door, and they slam their hands against it. And they're straining pretty hard here. I mean, we know the Tapasa are very strong. You just have to look at their bodies.
It must be, like, fucking single, or maybe 2 tons.
To see that. So the fact that they're straining so hard signifies that this door is, rather large. And then after this goes on, Daiba makes a signal, and the various sorcerers and such put their staffs around Guts. Now, this is an obvious homage to the scene in the Golden Age arc where Griffith got caught in Charlotte's bedroom, and the various Midland royals, put their staffs around Griffith.
Yeah, I didn't notice that little detail. That's interesting. Oh, this also fits in line with how Berserk works, because, like, a lot of the things that happen to Griffith sort of mirror what things that happen to Guts, or like Guts and Griffith's lives definitely mirror each other in very opposing ways. And seeing this made me realize that this also is like very berserk.
And then afterwards, he went down to the Midland torture chambers. So, again, it's another.
See, okay, now that I could see why they would think. I could see how someone can theorize that Guts is going to be like tortured in this place. Maybe not tortured physically, but maybe tortured spiritually. That would be interesting.
Allusion to Guts and Griffith following a similar path. You know, Griffith went down to the Midland torture chambers, and we saw him chained up. Guts, you know, after Elfhelm, got chained up by the Kushan soldiers.
Right.
And now he's got the various, you know, staffs and pointy objects around his neck. So definitely another homage. You know, it's probably a reference to the fact that something very similar is going to happen to Guts.
Yeah.
He's going to be presented with a choice, possibly using that Baylitz, or maybe some kind of dark sorcery on Daiba's part, and he's going to have to make a decision. Is he going to want to sacrifice everything for power, or is he going to say no? Guts then walks inside, and Salat's kind of like, you know, this is all kind of pathetic to see you rot away like this.
Right.
You know, the fact that Guts is sort of...
Yeah, Salat is very upset because Salat fought Guts and Guts gained his respect because of how much stronger he was and pushed Salat to be a better warrior. But seeing Guts in the state and not understanding why it's happening really is just pissing him off, which is understandable. But he doesn't understand that Guts thinks that Griffith has killed Casca. I don't even think Guts realizes that, or maybe he doesn't think that Casca. Maybe he thinks Casca is now Griffith's new wife, or because, like, think about it, what Griffith did to Casca it was a very vile thing, a very horrible thing, and he did that right in front of Guts. So who's to think that Guts wouldn't believe that Griffith would do that, make Casca his consort in some way? Which, from the last chapter we saw with Casca, it does look like she's some kind of princess or some kind of like caged bird, you know? It's very weird.
Of accepting death in a sense. You know, it's so unfitting of a warrior like him, someone who's fought so long and so hard for what he believes in, for the people he believes in, for himself, and to just give up like this is... It's very somber.
Yep.
Now, as this is going on, Isidro's having a very somber moment.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Guts is sort of just walking into the door.
Right.
And it's kind of a weird thing that's going on here. Like, we see something off in the shadows. I don't know if that's like some kind of mage or what's going on.
I think that's just the door shadow, honestly.
Kind of reminded me of Volvapa a little bit. Obviously, it's not Volvapa, but what I'm saying is it's like...
I have no idea what Volvapa is.
Maybe it's kind of dark, you know, underworld magic that's going on here. Some sort of soul separation, maybe. Obviously, we don't know, but it just looks very cryptic.
Yeah.
Now, what's weird is that when Guts walks into the door, he kind of looks back, and he looks to be in his right state of mind, which is weird because in the previous chapters...
I don't think that. The guy doesn't look like he's in a right state of mind at all. He looks fucking depressed. Like, if you look right at his face, he does not look like the kind of man that seems all right. You can tell just by the look of his eyes that he is super depressed, super lost, and that's a man's face who is given up. This doesn't look like he's in the right state of mind. I mean, would you really think that Guts would just be so submissive to just follow the Kushan's orders and go straight into this tomb willy-nilly without knowing what the fuck it is? He's not in the right state of mind.
he was kind of subdued. He wasn't his normal self, and now it almost looks like he's back to normal again, and he's just accepting his fate.
Nah.
I don't know. It's a weird one, to be honest with you. It's like, well, what's exactly going on here? Are you giving up, Guts? Are you out of your right state of mind, or are you in?
Bro, Guts just wants to die at this point. He wants fate to just take his life, because fate has taken the one thing he's truly cared about again. He worked so hard to get that thing back, and now it's gone again. He's not in the right state of mind. He is very depressed.
Your right state of mind, and you're just like, yeah, it's over. Like, I can't beat Griffith. I gotta do what I gotta do at this point. And then the chapter ends with Puck just kind of looking on with a very surprised face, and it says he's going to accept death just like that.
Yeah.
That's the chapter, guys. I mean, it's very interesting. I will give it that. And the artwork looks really good, but guys, like, this is not really a full chapter. I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves here. This does not feel worthy of a full Berserk chapter. Like this.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, this feels a lot like the chapter with Casca, where we see glimpses of her situation, but it's not fully explained what's going on, and we see Griffith ominously staring out into the sky, and then he says the East, which obviously he's referring to conquering the Kushan Empire. So this is definitely a lot like that chapter, just a little bit more ambiguous, but I don't think this is anything too bad. It is a little strange to not be able to understand what's going on, but again, this feels like a lot like a Tatsuki Fujimoto type kind of chapter, like part 2 kind of chapter. Not really explained that well. There's a lot of up in the air type of questions, and overall it's just a weird feeling of confusion. But at the same time, the art still looks fantastic. I'm glad that they're still keeping up with Miura's style. I mean, not really one for one Miura, but it's definitely their own style that is near the same level of quality, I would say. But overall, I think this chapter is... I'd give this chapter, I'd say a 7. I'd say a 7, maybe a 6.5, because it's just like, it's not really much going on. There's not really anything explained. And it feels like they're trying to foreshadow a lot of events that are coming in the future. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on this chapter. Great review video. I do think that you missed a few points. But thanks, man. What's your name again? Berserk Dude. Oh yeah. Definitely check out Berserk Dude's channel. Give him a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and just keep the conversation going, honestly. If you want to leave a like and comment on my channel as well, go ahead. That'll be the end of the video. See you guys later. Peace.